And so it's proved 6-all in the head-to-heads. That tells its own story. Sampras to start.
1-0 Sampras.
Almost more important for Sampras to get out of this breaker, having led 5-2 in this opening set and had a set point at 5-2 as well, so perhaps the mental demons on his side.
That heavy forehand of his does so much damage. They'll be disappointed with that. Didn't quite angle the racket enough, perhaps.
He's employed this tactic a lot throughout the course of this match, Sampras, the chip charge. The chip was perfect, the volley not so.
Well, that's steaming and wide. Great second serve. No relaxation of the effort there.
And always a dangerous moment when you got to hit a second serve to Ferreira. Some of the best returns in the game.
Sampras.
Oh boy, that was limp.
It was limp by Ferreira's standard. He just looked a little slow getting around the return. A serve from Sampras there and slightly tucked up. Great atmosphere in the stadium though for this one.
I always think that's the worst point to lose in a tie-break, where it's been even up to that point. You've got the long walk to think about it. Now he really needs this point. Oh, but he hasn't got it.
5-2 Sampras.
It's a great forehand, but it's a long swing and it does get a lot of body into it as well, Ferreira. And that time just sort of came over the top of the ball a little too early.
Could serve it out here, Sampras. 5-2. 2 serves for him to come. A stinging return, though. That's one of the break.
5-3 Sampras.
Little break points gone. Paul Annacone back in harness with Sampras for this crucial season for Sampras. He wanted Paul Annacone by his side. He knows him so well. Now Sampras loses both his points.
It's a good first volley by Sampras, but a great dig by Ferreira on the full stretch to the baseline. Gutsy smash, and Sampras trying the big forehand, couldn't pull it off.
Amazing comeback this. Could this be a chip and charge by Sampras?
5-all.
Neither. From 5-2 up to 5-all in the tiebreak. If that was a chip, it was almost more like a lob.
6-5 Ferreira.
From 5-2 up, it's now set point Ferreira. It's a champion's answer.
Just seems as though Sampras has got the wide serve out to the backhand a little bit more in this match than he has done for the most part of the year, and the serve down the middle is having a little bit more effect against Ferreira, who's not able just to pick it, because that is Sampras' favourite serve on the big points.
Well, that's brilliant serving from 5-6 down to be leading 7-6. Now set point for Pete Sampras.
7-6 Sampras. Left versus.
Terrific defense by Sampras. And finally, terrific attack. Paul Annacone ecstatic with that point. What a set of tennis that was. Brilliant stuff.
So Sampras with the first set, 7-6. The opening 5 games of the second set went with serve. We rejoin with Sampras at 2-3.
Well, it was always obvious that this was going to be a tough match for Sampras. He wouldn't have lost 6 times out of 12 to this man Ferreira. Now, that's more like it. That's the old Sampras, eager for the kill.
These two guys are into the 12th year of their rivalry. First played back in '91 in Cincinnati. Sampras won that time.
Yeah, what about those years, 95 to 98? Ferreira had a string of wins, 4 in a row.
30 love.
Well, that's when Sampras was at his peak of his powers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Some players can't cope with other players, even though they may be overall the much better player. Well, Sampras certainly was at that time in his career, both of their careers. And he kept losing to him. Oh, what a brilliant return. He makes it look very easy.
30-15.
Well, that's one of the reasons why Ferreira's had so much success against Sampras, because he's able to pick the ball on the return so early and adjust as well. Look at that short backswing. Phenomenally talented player.
And there it is on the backhand. Don't think just because Ferreira has a good, great big forehand, he's any slouch on the backhand.
Definitely his weaker side, but he's somebody so difficult to play against because you want to come in and attack him because you don't want to get into too many rallies, but he's also loves the target, as he showed there.
Left for 6.
Always a very careful selection of the 3 balls he originally picks.
40-30.
It's been impressive serving by Sampras tonight. One of the big difference for him over here in the American hardcourt swing is the balls. He just gets so much more purchase on them. Finalists in Houston this year on the clay, and one of the reasons for that is because of the speed of the balls and the lightness of them.
That was a wonderful volley on the stretch then by Pete Sampras.
3 games all.
It was a good reach. He certainly looked quick tonight, Sampras. I think we saw on the set point his movement around at the back of the court, the hustle, finished off by the fantastic forehand, and again there, it's just a step quicker than he was over in Europe.
When he hits his backhand like that, you make really, you wonder why people criticize the backhand, but unfortunately it's not always like that.
That's just a great shot on the run.
Oh, just a beautiful point again.
Sampras here trying to make his move. It was the right shot by Ferrer down the line, but nothing you can do about that forehand.
$15-30.
Well played, Ferrer. Got there quickly.
Hasn't always been the case this year, but Sampras tonight is living up to his billing. And his co-star is playing a pretty good role too here. Good move.
$30-40.
Double fault break point.
First break point of the match. Incredible.
Cheers. Advantage Ferreira. Game Ferreira.
And well played, Ferreira.
Ferreira leads 4 games to 3.
Mark, I'm just comparing what I'm seeing here with Pete Sampras playing this first match, and I saw his last match at Wimbledon, and in fact was commentating on it, and it actually sort of made you feel almost sick. It did me anyway, because Sampras was just not Sampras. He was so bad, it was unreal, you know. And here tonight, he's thinking, he's moving fast, he's coming over the ball in his backhand, he's doing everything right, like we remember.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly, Sampras looked a forlorn figure at Wimbledon. I have to say, Bill, I think you know, you've got to look at the conditions out here. They're tailor-made for Sampras. on the American hardcourt season. I keep saying about the balls, but he uses a racket now that is, you know, it's almost getting to the stage of a dinosaur racket when you think about the conditions at other tournaments. And I'm not taking America out of the equation. The indoor season in Europe now, apart from bar one tournament, is pretty slow. They play on a very rough surface with heavier balls. Wimbledon these days, you know, it's much harder, the court, the surface and everything else. The balls are particularly, they almost feel flat off your racket. He doesn't get it as much pop on his serve. Therefore, the guys are getting a look at his, you know, serve a lot more. And he's been messing around with his string. He's made so many changes in the last sort of 8 months, really. I mean, he got rid of, you know, Paul Annacone. They've teamed up again because he says he wants the stability. You know, he's changed agents. He didn't play at Queen's this year for the first time for whatever reason. Doesn't look like he'll be going back to Queen's after the comments made as well. Yeah, I think he, you know, when you've been as good as Sampras has, there's no real reason to change the things that he has done over time. But the one thing I would say is that, you know, you should, you know, maybe look at changing the racket for at some point. But obviously, it's working here.
Great testing return by Ferreira. He really does slam it back. One thing you forgot to mention was that he got married as well. So that meant he had other things in mind.
And he's got a baby due at the end of the year as well. So
yeah. Look how sharp he is. I mean, this is what we remember.
15 all.
Again, managed to lay a racket on it, gets good depth, and again, a good closure on the net from Sampras.
It's almost like the film is speeded up, isn't it? It's like a Charlie Chaplin film where they're moving too fast. It's an old man's match, this, by today's standards. Ferreira 30, Sampras 31. I'm not interested in discussion.
It's one of those serves that is out until it hits the line, and I think you look at that replay, you can see it's bending in all the time. I actually think it's, again, it's a frame back, but I think that's got a fair bit of the line. Yeah. Tough call for Sampras.
And when you speak to him, he knows that in his prime, serving as well as he can, he knows exactly where it's going to land.
Again, just doing enough. Ferreira trying to whip the ball cross court, got a little too much height on the ball.
Well, I think he really meant that. He just stunned it stone dead.
Let versus.
A little trembler device that tells the umpire when it's net court. Well, I think it deserved it.
Well, he certainly thinks that. I'm not sure Ferreira does. Look at this one, the double net cord.
Yes.
Tough break for the South African.
Oh, it takes years of practice, that one, doesn't it? 2 points for a 4-all.
Game, Sampras.
Well, we're seeing some pretty electric tennis from both men.
When you look at a match like this, I mean, this looks double the speed to what we were watching at Wimbledon, doesn't it, when he played his match against George Basta. I mean, you know, the ball is just hanging around on this court. Two champions, Ferreira twice a Masters winner and a winner here in Canada as well, back in '96.
And this was the surface where Sampras won his first Grand Slam at the age of 19, the US Open.
Backward slice where you see Sampras just drop the racket down the back of the ball. He doesn't actually get any forward movement on it and sort of have the confidence to go through the shot.
No, didn't get down with that one. Both men 6'1". That was a really crafty serve. Fantastic angle. Points to lead 5-4.
Game Ferreira.
Very good service game by Ferreira.
Ferreira leads 5 games to 4.
Well, Ferreira is one of those men who you feel could, and I'm sure could have done, he could have been a great cricketer, for example. He's just a natural sportsman. And he seems to almost be lazy on court sometimes, Mark, to me, and yet he still produces fantastic tennis on form.
Well, ever since back in '92 when he burst onto the scene, semi-finalist at the Australian Open, he's only then gone on to reach 2 other quarter-finals of Grand Slams. And you have to say about Wayne Ferreira, whether it's too harsh to say he's been an underachiever or he didn't waste the years, but he could have done better. And I think everybody feels that about Wayne, is that he could have done better mentally for a while. He wasn't quite as solid as he needed to be. There was a fragile temperament. And I think to be fair to him, in the last 2 or 3 years, it's probably been better than it ever was before.
He's worried about something behind him there. I'm not quite sure what it is. I don't think he's pleased.
Billy.
Oh, do you reckon?
I reckon. What do you think?
I thought it was somebody barracking him. He stared long and hard in one particular direction.
Yeah, they were trying to get ready for the wave. We love the wave. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah,
do you think it's time for something else to start up in the stadiums, I think?
Anyway, it's a tribute to the players in its way, because they're seeing a terrific tennis match here. Really very exciting, and Ferreira 1 game away from levelling. Serving to stay in this set, Sampras 4-5. Sampras, one of the few men in my book anyway, who turns a half volley, a difficult half volley sometimes, into an attacking shot rather than a damage limitation shot. That was a beautiful half volley, hit deep and wide. The way he's serving, he needs the best possible ammunition.
30 love.
Well, that's a serve I feel has been missing from Sampras's arsenal over the last 8 months or so. The one out wide, and tonight, as you can see, the 13-ace that he served, he's managed just to keep Ferreira guessing. Whereas in the previous sort of months of this year, you kind of feel he's been predictable on his serve.
There it was again. I absolutely agree with you. When I've done so many Sampras matches and watched him, I always think a barometer of his form in a match is when he's got that serve wide, particularly from the deuce court. and also the quality of his backhand, particularly the backhand roll down the line. If he's got those two shots in his locker in a match, stand by.
Game, Sampras.
Good service game too. 5-all.
5 games all.
Born and lives in Johannesburg. Beautiful pass.
15-11.
Sampras just doesn't get enough bite on this approach shot. It's nice, it's the right place, but you can see it's not really travelling through the court.
Ah! 15-all.
Most of the errors for both men seem to be coming on their stronger forehands. No luck for him.
15-13.
Sampras again at the right time, just applying the pressure.
Once again floated, and if it's floated, it's going to float with backspin a little bit wide. Former quarter-finalist at Wimbledon as a qualifier. Nearly did what McEnroe did. He did it as a semi-final as a qualifier.
40-30. Game, Pereira.
So Pereira still playing very good tennis and leading by 6 games to 5, second set.
Pereira leads 6 games to 5.
My home was going to be...
Both men playing good tennis. This is a recipe for really exciting tennis tonight. Tough. I love the volley before, the way he sort of urges it a little bit further on. It's a Sampras speciality.
That volley wasn't that easy. The little short cross-court backhand one that he tried to play, he played it with a lot of risk. That's a big point for Ferreira to claim.
Sampras knows the value of this point.
Dispatch with ease.
15-all.
Not always the easiest overhead to hit this one after you're coming in off your serve. The miss hit. Plenty of attention to it.
He smacks those ones down the middle. Variation is terrific. And you can't tell from his toss, you never have been able to with the Sampras serve. He was always trained as a junior to have exactly the same toss, and then the coach would say wide or down the middle. when the ball was in the air. Once again, a forehand error, rather clumsy one.
It really does, because of the grip that he has on it on the racket. It's not a Western grip by any means. He really has to work the wrist up the back of the ball to get the spin, and sometimes, as you see there, and on the ball up short low, he really whips the ball, the racket head, almost up and behind his head, behind his right ear.
Left.
I once asked him about his grip, because I didn't see him moving his grip, and I've said it before, I mean, I could hardly believe his answer. He said, I'm not sure what I do, quite honestly. I mean, this was the #1 player in the world, not really being sure where his grip was. Well, now. Set point to him to level. Once again, the forehand, and the score is level at settle. That is unbelievable. Well played, Ferreira.
1 set all. New ball, please.
They're so alike, these two players, really, and what they've done this year as well. I mean, win-loss ratio for Sampras is 17 wins to 14, and is almost exactly the same. Ferreira 17 to 13, so there's almost no difference at all in their stuttering arrival at this position here, where they're playing so well.
Ferreira spent much time dwelling on what would have happened if he hadn't have had that overall against Henman in their match at Wimbledon. And it was a tough break for the South African.
That'll stay with him forever. Once again, the forehand error.
Different types of backhand between Ferreira and Moya, but a similar type of problem is generate enough pace on that sort of shot when it's got nothing coming to you. They don't really have the longest backswings.
What's the antidote? Take it earlier?
Swing a little harder.
40-30. Game, Ferreira.
Good kicking serve. Reared up very high. Sampras could have taken that earlier.
First game, final set.
Solid first service game. Sampras has never won this tournament before. He was a runner-up. It seems a little bit surprising that he hasn't managed to pull off a victory in Canada. This finished at Agassi back in '95.
Final set, love one.
Left, Christmas. Love 15.
Crisp return as well by Ferrer, and again there's that little that almost no back swing. That's where it helps him. Just uses all the pace off the Sampras serve.
Oh, this is brilliant returning. The coordination of hand and eye here is something else.
Love 13.
Serve was quick, but it was into the slot, and again that's one of the things that Sampras has been lacking in recent months, is his ability to hit the lines, to hit the spots on that service box.
15.
And that's what he really prides himself in, the ability to hit that, put it on a dime, as he has said. You know, he was saying that when he was objecting, look at that speed, to people who said, you know, it's boring watching his serve. And his reply was, well, I don't find it boring because I know I can serve at, you know, 130 miles an hour onto a dime. And when you can do that, it's not boring. Two incredible pickups, both men.
30-14.
Well, Sampras did well there. I'm not sure he intended it to be that short. And Ferreira rides his luck. From not having a break point, Ferreira breaks to claim the second set on his first break point of the match and has another one now.
Didn't last long. And it gets faster.
Well, you saw there Ferreira picking Sampras' favourite serve generally on the big point. Time and time again tonight, Sampras has managed to find the serve out wide.
Left Christmas.
Ferreira always takes up this asymmetric position to receive serve. It's slightly unusual. Left foot in front of the right.
Advantage Ferreira.
Again, look where Sampras plays that first volley. He's a good yard behind the service line. And that's where he got himself into trouble.
Second break point. The movement in the air for that one. That was heading to go in, and then the spin on it, carrying it wide. Yeah, very, very positive.
It's a clutch second serve, set up the point, got the width on it. A simple put away. First one out in front of the body. Great save by Sampras.
Terrific footwork, wasn't it? Oh well, you live with it. Yes, well played.
Too many bites of the cherry in the end. It was a great first volley there by Sampras. But that's a poor volley by his standards. Ferreira makes him pay.
Break point again. Trying just a little bit too hard then, perhaps.
Hughes.
Ferreira there just a little too far behind the baseline. I'm not sure what was said by the crowd, but Ferreira laughed, but Sampras has nothing to do with it. His concentration is absolute right now. The match right in the balance.
Advantage, Sampras.
Bit like a cricketer facing a really very fast bowler. You've got so little time to react, really. Hopefully you're guessing where it's going to go. As I've said, you can't tell from the toss where it's going to go. Excellent, really expert. From a very high ball too.
There's the advantage of having a double-hander. Two hands on the racket, you're able to drag it cross-court and get it down quickly. Single-handers just don't have that ability. It's been a great returning game by Ferreira, but he wants to make it count.
Advantage,
This returning is excellent. Think of the number of half volleys that Sampras has had to play. Another break point. Fourth. Oh, how about that for a near half volley?
Well, that was just a great point. Sampras goes with his favourite serve. Ferreira picks it and hits what he must could have considered to be a good return. He was getting a look at a pass. And Sampras with perhaps a match-saving half volley.
advantage, Sampras.
Just wide enough to provoke that mistake on this hit.
You can see why these guys have had so many good matches over the years. And just they match up so well against each other.
Yeah, that's right. They seem to bring out the best in each other, don't they? The rhythm. Sampras thought it long, I think. I mean his serve.
Asgraf.
Sensibly just looking worried and not opening his mouth. Haven't seen too many of the body serves. Not a bad idea. Haven't seen much of that. That's a change up.
Certainly the lob's a good idea, although I don't think it was such a great idea on that point in particular, because Sampras hit the half volley from behind the service line and hadn't really had a chance to close the net down. Quite a few angles for Ferreira to play with, either down the line or cross court. Oh, Sampras will be happy that was called out.
Deuce.
Well, this game is proving particularly tough, and it might well be the key to the whole match. All very well if you win it. After all these break points, deuces.
Ferreira slightly ahead in the mental stakes there, because Sampras is having to go away from his game plan and stayed back on that second serve.
Advantage Sampras.
No, he tried to urge that one in the right direction a bit too. Sort of coming over it a bit.
Well, that's the sort of volley that, again, he didn't see much of from Sampras early on in his career, but more and more he seems to have gone towards more of a dry volley. It's harder to control when you've got that much movement in the racket.
This has been the longest game of the match by far. 12 minutes so far, and it's not over.
Advantage Sampras.
Might be soon, but this is a gargantuan match with a terrific first service game here for Sampras. Had he dropped any of those break points, he feels Ferreira might well have steamed ahead. This for 1-all.
Game Sampras. One game off.
You reckon that took so much out of his racket he needs another?
I think it took a fair bit out of him, and certainly the crowd appreciated the effort that Sampras put into that service game. It may be the critical one of the match. He's kept himself only on level terms, though.
But then that has to be weighed against the lack of euphoria for Ferreira, having failed to convert any of those break points.
Lovely team.
Sometimes when the body movement hinders Ferreira on the forehand, it sort of sweeps across it. The left shoulder really dips down and drags it wide.
Yeah, clever play. On any surface, clever play, going behind the opponent.
Showing good endurance in this match as well, Ferreira. Mental as well as physical.
Amazing volley, really.
15-30.
Swept the forehand, return back. That's not a bad attempted pass. Look at that volley from Sampras. Just drops the racket head.
That's where they seem to be coming. They're just not as safe. I guess they're so happy with their forehands, both of them, that they're going for something just a little bit extra.
14.
Another forehand error, and the dangerous point here for Wayne Ferreira. This often happens when you just fail to break yourself. You then end up by getting broken on your own service game. That's too long. 3 forehand errors, and Ferreira goes a break down. Final set. So it's Sampras 2-1 with that break.
Sampras leads 2 games to 1.
The Saturday premiere.
The next 5 games, we pick up the final set with Ferreira serving to stay in the match at 3-5.
So Ferreira up against it here after this terrific match, perhaps reaching its ending. A long, hard look from Sampras.
How are you calling that one, Billy?
I'm calling that just touching the line.
Yeah, I think that might have got a piece of it.
I think in the main the calling's been pretty good in this match, but an error like that and that serve way back that Sampras certainly served an ace.
48
Carved out an ace really there, Ferreira. Right round the outside edge of the board, took all the pace off it.
Quite clever the way he slows the serve right down, particularly when he goes wide, of course.
Game,
Look
Ferreira.
at the damage it does when he does too. Destroys the timing that Arthur Ashe did to Jimmy Connors way
Sampras
back.
leads 5 games to 4. New balls, please.
I mean, it's got to be confusing, hasn't it, even for the best players in the world, when they've been facing bullets all the time, suddenly you get this low, slow type of serve. It does destroy your timing a bit, yeah?
Definitely. I think he served smartly tonight. I think he served big when he's needed to. He's got everything that it takes to take care of Sampras. He couldn't take his chance early on in this third set when he had the break points and Sampras' opening service game, when Sampras was wobbling after he drop served to lose that second set, and that was when the opportunity presented itself. And you see Sampras just total concentration at this changeover, just thinking about how he wants to get there. So I would think that Sampras is feeling pretty confident right now, though, to close this one out. He's been serving well the whole evening. And as we've been saying, he's been going through a pretty rough time in his tennis career.
I never feel terribly happy for Sampras when he's coming out to serve for a match, because so often we've seen him lose that service game and then maybe take it 8-6 or whatever a bit further on. But I never feel terribly happy, because I don't know if he does, indeed. Let's hope for his sake he has a nice clean win here. Certainly deserves it, the way he's been serving. So Sampras serving for the second round. Always getting Laura cheer, the slam dunk smash. If he perfects.
It's not bad athleticism for someone who's going to turn 31 in 13 days.
He gets amazingly high, doesn't he, from a standing start. So it's 3 match points, Mark, and all my worries about him finding it difficult to serve out a match have obviously evaporated.
Anacone doesn't look happy, but I'm sure he is at this stage.
The gods are not with him on that point. Blinking in disbelief there, Paul Anacone managing to muster a smile. It says it's all right, Pete, you've got 2 more service points here. Crowd not going to let him continue for a bit. She's not helping his concentration. That's not going to help it either. What are you going to tell me? My house is on fire now. Lars Graf is not going to intervene. I think sensibly. How did you think that? I mean, the initial impression I thought was good, but you know.
Yeah, I think that was the initial, and also from a player's point of view, you kind of know.
He's rubbing it in, isn't he, Ferreira? Looking cheerful, looking happy. Now you've only got 1 point.
Thank you. 40-30.
Now you've only got 1 point. And maybe this is what I was talking about. He finds it difficult to serve out of match, but hardly with the luck he's had so far in this game. I mean, that is just awful. Well, he does it. Third chance with a wonderful serve.
5-7.
Medium pace, totally professional, wonderful match, Matt.
Yeah, it's the sort of reception that you usually get for Sampras when he's won a final, let alone a first-round match. I think the crowd are feeling, you know, what he's going through at the moment, and a tremendous win for him against a tough opponent.
So what a tight score, and that showed what a tight match it was between 2 very fine players.
Yes, good performance under the lights last night from Pete Sampras. He'll face Hung Taik Lee of Korea in round 2. Peter, where would you